Playing in the NFL is the dream of millions of kids around the world. It is where the best of the best football players play. It takes an incredible amount of dedication from an individual just to get a chance to make the team. And it goes without saying that being in the NFL is a privilege. It's a privilege that can be taken away, however, with just a few or even one terrible decision. In the NFL, there are a number of players who have been banned at one point from the league. So today we're going to look at 5 of the most famous players who have been banned from the NFL. We're going to begin today's video with an honorable mention that features Ray Rice. Rice was a running back drafted by the Ravens in 2008 and was a big part of Baltimore's offense. Rice would earn 3 Pro Bowl nods in 5 seasons and 2 second-team All-Pro honors. The highlight of his career was winning the Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2012. After the 2013 season, however, his career and life would take a dark turn. Rice would be suspended for a domestic violence case. While yes, this is terrible, it only initially resulted in a 2-game suspension. However, once video leaked of the incident, the NFL had no choice but to suspend Rice indefinitely. The only reason that this is an honorable mention is because Rice was able to successfully appeal the indefinite suspension. However, no team would sign him ever again. So in essence, although he wasn't officially banned, because no team wanted to pick him up and he was clearly talented, he was unofficially shadow banned. So with the honorable mention out the way, let's go ahead and start with number 5. Rolando McClain. McClain was a linebacker drafted by the Raiders in 2010 with the 8th overall pick. When McClain was playing, he was okay, but never really developed into the force Oakland thought he would become. It didn't help that by his 2nd season in the league, he was already battling legal issues. He was charged with 3rd-degree assault among other things, but charges were dropped by the victim, so McClain got off virtually unscathed. After he was let go by the Raiders after the 2012 season, he would be arrested for giving a police officer a fake name during a traffic stop. Later in 2013, he would sign with the Baltimore Ravens, but would be arrested again just a week or so after signing. This time for disorderly conduct. In an effort to get his life together, McClain would shockingly retire from the NFL and would pursue his bachelor's degree, something that he was ultimately able to achieve in 2017. But backtracking to his NFL career, in 2014 McClain unretired and was traded to the Cowboys, and he started getting his football career back on track, at least on the field. But this is where the NFL suspensions started to pick up. In 2015, he was suspended by the league for 4 games for violating the league's substance abuse policy, and would repeat that infraction the following year in the 2016 season, this time for 10 games. Unfortunately, midway through this same 2016 season, McClain was now suspended a 3rd time, and this time, per NFL rules, he was suspended indefinitely. It would turn out that McClain was addicted to codeine, and this was the cause of his consistent suspensions. While it appears that his career's over, McClain is actually attempting to make a comeback after being reinstated in December of 2023. But at 35 years old, it's more than likely that his career in the NFL is over. Justin Blackman was selected by the Jaguars with the 5th overall pick in 2012. Blackman at the time was very worth the pick as he was unstoppable in college. Sadly, his career never really got going. Blackman was suspended before he could play a single snap in the league after getting arrested for a DUI. While this didn't result in any suspensions, it did become an omen of what was to come. He would follow this up by violating the league's substance abuse policy, and he would be suspended for the first 4 games of his 2nd year. He wouldn't learn his lesson, as in the middle of the 2013 season, Blackman was suspended again for the same reason. But this time, he would be suspended for 8 games instead of 4. Blackman would never get back onto an NFL field, as he could not get out of his own way. In the 2015 offseason, he would be arrested for marijuana possession and would subsequently check into rehab. He would allegedly lose all contact from the Jaguars, and the team had no idea if he'd ever even return to the team. 2014 came and went with no sign of the former number 5 overall pick. He applied for reinstatement in 2015 but was denied. Before there could be any more talk of a return to the NFL, Blackman unfortunately would be arrested once again late in 2015, thus ending any chance of reinstatement back into the league. At 34 years old, it's safe to say that even if he's reinstated today, he will most likely have played his last down in the NFL, which is a shame, as when he was on the field, he was extraordinary. Blackman serves as a cautionary tale to young players, as it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you can't get your life together off the field, then it's really all for nothing. Stanley Wilson is a name some younger fans might not be familiar with. Wilson was a fullback for the Cincinnati Bengals in the 1980s. He was a talented runner when he could be on the field, but Wilson had a huge drug problem. His time was tumultuous in Cincy, but he kept hanging on despite his issues. Wilson would miss a huge chunk of the 1984 season and miss the entirety of the 85 and 87 season respectively. Despite his best efforts, Wilson could not get clean, but shit didn't really hit the fan until 1988, or the 1988 season. The Bengals had made the Super Bowl and had planned that Wilson would be a big part of the offense in that game against the 49ers. Wilson unfortunately would relapse at the worst time possible. A day before the big game, he was found by teammates high on cocaine in the bathroom. The team had no choice but to leave him out for the game. This left the team devastated and conflicted.
We were all mad at Stanley.
Didn't mean enough to him to make the right choice.
And all he could say to me was, "Sam, I'm so sorry."
Many players say not having Wilson in the game was the difference maker in the Bengals winning or losing the Super Bowl. Wilson never played in the league again, and sadly his situation didn't immediately improve. He would be arrested in 1999 for stealing over $130,000 worth of property to continue to feed his addiction. He was sentenced to 22 years, but got out in early 2010. The last heard of Wilson was that he was mourning the death of his son, Stanley Wilson Jr. in February 2023. As of 2024, he's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and is taking antipsychotic medication for his condition. LaRon Landry's career began with the Washington Redskins in 2007. Landry immediately, with fellow safety Sean Taylor, became one of the most dangerous, hard-hitting backfields in the entire league, and they were dubbed Area 51. Sadly, this duo's time together would not last, as Sean Taylor was tragically murdered midway through the season. Still, Landry lived up to his draft selection by being a Pro Bowl alternate in his rookie year. He had a solid career throughout his first few seasons, but unfortunately, injuries would begin to plague his career. By 2012, Landry was on the Jets now, coming off of 2 career-altering Achilles tears. Despite the injuries, Landry kept pushing through, and it wasn't until the 2014 season where his off-the-field issues began to haunt him. In September of 2014, he would be suspended for the first time for violating the league's substance abuse policies. In February 2015, so just 5 months later, he would be suspended again for the same reason. This time, it was a 10-game suspension. Now fast forwarding into the 2015 season, after just serving his 10-game suspension, Landry tested positive for PEDs again, and per league rules, would be suspended indefinitely. It would turn out that Landry had struggles with steroid use that were the root cause of every suspension. These days, he does live a better life, but as of 2024, he's still technically banned from the NFL. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we get to our number 1 slot. And with this next gentleman, I guess I should put a viewer discretion advised, as if the first 4 were bad, this guy might be, or is, I think, the worst of the 5 that we're talking about today. At number 1, we have Ray Caruth. Being drafted by the Panthers in 1997 with their first round pick, Caruth had a decent rookie season, but his career was over before it could really begin. He would break his foot after just 2 games, ending his season in 98, and then the 99 season, he would look to get back into form, but after just 5 games, his career was over, and his life would soon change forever. On November 16th, 1999, Caruth would hire a man to shoot his pregnant girlfriend in an attempt to kill his unborn son. He was successful in ending the life of his girlfriend, but his son had survived. However, due to a lack of oxygen for over an hour, his son would suffer permanent brain damage and cerebral palsy that would affect his life forever. After a month-long battle to survive, Sharika Adams, the woman who was 8 months pregnant in this story, had died. And a day later, Carruth was found and arrested. He would eventually be charged and found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. Carruth was sentenced to 18 to 24 years in prison, with his accomplice, the man who pulled the trigger, being sentenced to 40 years. After serving 18, Carruth was released in 2018, and he currently resides in Pennsylvania. Let me know what you guys think down below, and let me know if there's a person that's banned that we should cover next time. This has been Triple DS, and if you're still watching, please consider subscribing. We're on the road to 2,000 subs. Thank you guys so much for your support, but until next time, ship boy!